Okay, well, this is part two. Probably several parts now because it kind of opens up the whole can of worms in my world. I'm getting used to looking up at the camera instead of looking down at my image here, so it's kind of like getting used to all that thing. Just for a few weeks about doing these vlogs. But okay, we're getting used to that. Getting up close. How close is too close? How close is close enough? How close is kind of crazy close? Anyway, learn how this works. And my chair, I hit my knees against the back of the desk right there, so that's about a good distance, right about there with my knees. Okay, we're learning. But I miss my beard here, so I like my beard. I really like my beard. I like my hat too. I don't need a hat inside, but I like this hat a lot. And also, well, that's crazy. I like it. Okay, I like that. Okay, so live and learn. That's my motto. Still got turn. There's my beard. Yep, right there. Tithe. What a loaded word. I mean, that's loaded like sin and judgment and hell. I mean, money. Wah! There's another set of reflections I'm going to give on sermons and preaching. And I was thinking about that earlier today at lunch. Talked to a fellow at the seminary, and he's from Africa. I forget what country. Ethiopia. Neat guy. And he's with Campus Crusade and talked about Bill Bright. When Bill Bright would preach, well, I'll kind of go from that, but come back to this. Bill Bright would preach, or William Booth would preach. People were convicted and changed and stirred. It's like, and I don't get stirred in most sermons. I really don't. So, and maybe because people are afraid to say things. And partly why people get afraid to say things, because they're dependent on the people they're talking to pay them, to give them money. So they're kind of being held hostage. They don't want to say, greed is bad, and selfishness, and lust, and pornography, and eating disorders, and those things are bad. Or shopping is, what they call it, recreational therapy is a sin, because that money you just spent at the mall can't go to the kingdom, can't go to the elderly, can't go to the needy, you know. And we're not holding up the needs of those people in its significance because we don't want to disrupt your sweet little comfort zones. You know what the Bible says. You know, about lamp treasures in heaven. We don't say anything about that because, dear gosh, what we have here is the American dream wrapped in Protestant gift wrap with a pretty bow on top. So y'all come on down now to church, and we'll have some cookies and juice or coffee and donuts. No alcohol though, but because we're all Christians, you know. Well, fiddly-do on that, and give a tithe. And we're going to teach what tithe says. Like I said over here, I got a text saying, I got enough time barely to read this. I'm going to read this to you. It kind of got me going. I'm going to read this text. I'm probably, well, maybe I'll put this, I don't know if it fit in the description or not. I'm going to read it. Standing by to read. Boy, I was born in 1977 during this decade. During these decades, I've heard all kinds of sermons. I have been a member of various churches, Houston and Dallas. I've been attending churches online for about 2 years. Very few sermons address money-related matters. A few times giving is mentioned, and usually during a major building campaign. Yeah, we need $1 million, so we're talking about giving finally. Never mind the rest of the year, anything else. No, building, yeah. Sometimes the term is tithe is mentioned related to giving. It's rarely is there a sermon that explores the fullness of what the Bible teaches about tithing and giving. I've read articles by experienced Bible teachers on the subject, not pastors, you know, and they say that actually there's 3 tithes in the Old Testament. If you add, one of them's given every 3 years, and the other one every year, 23% altogether. It's like their income tax. That's how they took care of the country of Israel. Was a country, took care of all the administrative things. It wasn't just about the church. We have a theocracy for a while, which was God's ideal, which we don't have, didn't have, won't have, you know, because we're so, anyway, I won't say bad things about that. They took care of the poor. Once every 3 years, you gave money that they put in the treasury, and so 3% of your income would just take care of the poor and the needy and the sojourners. Well, we have Medicare now. I'm running out of time, aren't I? Meanwhile, over these 30 plus years, I've given my full tithe of gross. Okay, I'll just talk about this. I'll get my own personal. So it rarely brings up discussion, and that subject always brings up discussion about law and grace. Oh yeah, hot subject. You say law, tithe, grace. Jesus said. Oh, everybody wants to get excited about that, but they don't look into all. They won't look objectively, clearly, impassionately at what the Bible fully says. No. I'm gonna get. I'm running 5 minutes. I'm gonna stop right there. Yipper.